guys, welcome along, welcome back, and here we are now with part 14 of the Hellcat build. And basically, if you've seen part 8E, you've seen the cockpit all finished up now with the belts and everything in there. I've actually added that bottle behind the seat now, which I forgot to put in, so that was a bit silly, and I've done a little bit more chipping and playing with it and stuff, and I will continue to play with it and add some pigments and stuff like that. And I'll keep you posted on what I'm doing. So right here, right now, I'm going to be looking at working in this area here, and that's what this part of this video is going to be all about. And we'll take you from start to finish instead of having all this A, B, C, D stuff. The engine is part 13A is done, so next part obviously will be part 13B. And the reason I do that is so I don't have one massive long video just covering one subject. And also the other thing is, what I could do is just do loads of little clips, but I get so many comments that people like to see the detail that I put into these videos and not just flick through and say, here you go, there's the finished item. So this one shouldn't be any more than about an hour long, so I'll try and keep it to that. Now, a lot of people say, why on earth are you bothering to do this? You know, you're probably thinking that. Because I can, and because it's there, really. I'm going to have this hatch open, so you're going to look up in here. You can see I've got my dummy resin fuel tank in there, which I manufacture and sell. Yes, that is a blatant plug. And basically that is in there because you can see up in there through that hatch. I've painted the water injection tank. I've actually repainted the oxygen tank. If you remember, I did it before with the green when I did all this interior green and then found out it was the wrong colour. I've also opened up the straps there to make it into a more realistic looking strap, painted it silver, and that's just going to sit in the back of there like that and just sit there and look pretty. So again, you'll see up in there, so you can see underneath. What I did was did some work on the bottom and did it yellow, opened up the ends. So yeah, quite a lot of work gone into that one little part, actually, well, two little parts should I say. So yeah, a lot of carving about and everything to get it to look good, and when you look up underneath you'll see, that's what you'll see. And then the water tank will sit on there like that, and you will see it like that. And I'm going to put some of those anise fittings in there, get some pipe work in there and stuff, make it all look a bit real. I'm trying to look for some restoration videos to see if I can find some references. Talking references, I've got this book here. This is the F6F Detailing Scale book by Bert Kinsey, quite an old book now. And if we go to page 22, we have here, this is a picture looking up inside, looking up along there. So yeah, we can see the radios here. I've got the cables on them. It goes up to the antenna there, and then we've got a lot of lines going from front to back. So my idea is to get some silver stretch sprue, put some lines in there, put these pipes here on this little block, and just basically just I don't know, just make it sort of pop a little bit, you know. So let's get on with it. The radios I've drilled and put some I don't know if you can see this. I get it close up to the camera. I've actually added some detail to the front of those radios in these holes and everything, and then we'll have wiring and cabling coming out of there. Okay, so here we go. As you can see, I've added some detail in here. I've made up what I've done. I've enlarged this picture out of the book, and we can see over here we've got this little junction box here, which I'm assuming is electrical. I'm not sure, maybe hydraulics, but whatever. And it's got this braided hosing going in. You're probably thinking, why aren't I using that beautiful anise braided hosing? Reason being is it's not going to really be visible, and it seems a bit of a waste using that quality product in an area that's, you know, hardly going to be seen. I'm just basically doing this just because I can and I've got the time. So basically I've added that there, that unit there with the pipes coming down here, as you can see, and then that one's going to go off and go through and underneath the cockpit floor here. It looks like it's where it's going. I've drilled some holes in the back of the cockpit firewall there, and they will actually come out underneath here. So those cables are probably those cables there, and they will come out and go to the radios. So that's that bit done. And then I'm going to start adding some control lines and stuff. I've also added this metal bracket here on the top. This carries the the actual looks like connecting wires or whatever to the actual radios themselves. There's one that goes out there through a side into a side area, so I've drilled a hole in the fuselage here, and that's where an aerial cable is going to come out and join up there. So I've made that look like it goes out to that hole, but it's not. So you can see there's a wire there, and then also on the radios we've got these bridging wires here going across the top. You can see them on here going across there, and then they've got some wires that are going to connect into those once they're in. So that's where we are at the moment, so I'll come back in a minute when I've done a bit more. Okay then guys, so as you can see we're pushing forward with adding more cabling and stuff in here. I've got some 0.6 lead wire there going in to depict those cables. Somebody's mentioned in the Anise review I did about the ties around the ignition cables, and I said, you know, use lead wire, so I thought I'd show you how I do this. I've got some 0.3 lead wire here, and I'm just going to try and find an end. As you can see, it's like a spider's web we've got here, so there's an end. So I'll just take a piece of this, just like that, and I'm going to cut the end off because it's got a knot in it. So we just do that, and then I'm just going to roll this with a round knife handle on the bench, take it off the knife handle like so, cut a piece as long as you need it to be, let the finger pick it up, and then I'm just going to grab hold of this. I'm going to move this wire up here, and then I can slip this underneath. Just move this wire up so I can get that lead from underneath it, and now I can just place it over that rib like so, and then push the wire down. And that'll hold it in place there. Okay, then I can just fold this up. I'm going to grab a dot of super glue, put it in the back of there, and then bring that over the top like so, and then do the same with the top. Dab of super glue, and just push that down. And as with everything else, because I'm on camera, it hasn't gone particularly well, it's overlapped, but you get the idea. And there we go, we've made a loop, and now I can just slide that along till it's on that rib again, and just put a dab of glue on it and glue it to the rib from behind, like so. Glue that one, glue that one, push them both down, and that's it, they're in place. And there you can see you've got the loops around the cables. So I've also added some 0.3 lead wire up here, which are the obviously the transmission wires or whatever from the radios. And there we go, I think that's about enough. I don't think I'm bothered doing anything more than that. And these here just end back here and they're nothing, just go nowhere. Just push them up under there. It looks like they probably come from the back of the radios above. So yeah, so let's start looking at these control cables now. Alright, I said I was going to go on and get the control lines done, but I'm thinking I think I'll give it a gloss coat, give it a wash, and then add everything after, because if I put this water tank in now, I won't be able to get in there to do the to treat the wash and everything. So I think what I'll do is I'll give it a gloss coat now and give it a wash. As you can see, I've made this the pipe for the water injection tank, and that's made out of some solder wire, which is 0.8 diameter. So that's that. And I've had to use some artistic license. I can't find any images of this tank at all online, and I don't have any in any of my references, so what I've had to do is just use a bit of artistic license. And I mean, the water pipe would have been sort of, you know, 3/4 inch diameter probably, and it would have come out and gone forward into the engine bay underneath the cockpit. So I've got it going. Well, I'll show you how I'm fitting it in. Basically, it's going to go through that hole there, and then the tank's going to sit in like so, and then that pipe runs along that there, when it's all squared up and fitted in properly. I'll make up a little couple of clamps from some lead wire and have that in place. So there we go. So all in all, coming together. Okay, so the wash is on and I've tempered it all back and everything, and just an attempt to sort of just pick up on the edges and just dirty it down a bit, so it's not just one uniform sort of colour. And you can see on the bottle there, it's made a nice sort of effect around the clamp and everything, or the clamping strap, and then the same on the water tank there. And interestingly, that's Guns paint on there. I rubbed it and it came off with enamel thinners, so a bit weird. So what I'm going to do now is give this a dry brushing of bright yellow. Yes, you got it, bright yellow. So I'm just going to remove most of the paint from the brush, try it on a bit back here. There we go, and then I can just... This is also one of the problems. You'll see on here there's little tiny bits of fluff, and that's one of the problems. What I did, I wiped this off with a paper towel, and that is one of the problems with using paper towels, is you get fluff. So yeah, it's always good to keep an old t-shirt or something handy for stuff like that, especially if you're doing like a flory wash where you just paint it all over and then wipe it off, which I will be doing on one of my models. I'm not sure which one, but yeah, I do like the flory washes. They're very user friendly, environmentally friendly, and good for your health. And well, not good for your health, but they're not bad for your health. Yeah, they can't be really good for your health, can they? There we go. So you can see that now. What that's done, it's just made all the ribs pop out. So we'll do the same on the other side, which is going to take a considerable more amount of time. It's going to take considerably longer because I've got to work in and out of all the nooks and crannies. So let's try back here first. Yeah, that's okay. So just go over and just pick up on these ribs, making sure I don't pick up on anything that isn't yellow. And that just makes the sort of makes the details and edges and corners of everything just stand up a little bit better. And when you consider, when you look up in here, it's going to be pretty dark anyway, you can kind of use some artistic license to do things like this. I'm not sure actually how dirty this would have got up in here. I'm guessing it would have been a little bit dirty because you've got the open wheel well at the back and all the exhaust fumes going by and everything. So there we go. So I'll give that another quick going over, I think, just to try and make it pop a bit more. Got a bit more paint on the brush this time. So as you can see, I'm going a lot more gentle. One of the beauties of this is yellow is one of the I'm not sure of the correct terminology actually. It's one of the most difficult colours. It doesn't cover anything. It's There we go. Just make all these details and corners just stand out a bit. Now you can see it's taking on a proper sort of over-emphasised look now, which is what we want. Do some work on that bulkhead there again. There we go. Do some more on this side now just to make it match. And these bits of fluff, don't worry about, just leave them on there, and then when it's dry you can just rub them off with a cloth or something, but not a paper towel. There we go, I think they pretty much match now. So there we go, we're ready to start finishing this off now. And there we are, guys. That's all together now and flat coated. I've steered away from the tank because I want it to sort of retain some sheen. I think I might need to put some gloss on that oxygen bottle because I think they were shiny. So we'll see about that. And right, now I'm going to start looking at these control lines. As you can see in my reference photo here, there's control lines running front to back, down both sides. We've got them going down the middle as well. There's a cable there, there's a cable there. In fact, that's not a cable there, is it? No, that's not a cable. But there's a cable. There's cables everywhere. So basically, I'm just going to put some cables from under the floor, between the fuel tank and the floor, and just come along back to here to this hole in the centre, so that when you look up in, you will see some cables. That's the general idea, just to depict something there, because that's what it looks like it was. So and obviously keeping them sort of to the side. Now there's some here which run higher up, so I'm guessing they would have come from the back of the control column here, so I need to try and get those in somehow and make them look realistic. Maybe I'll have to get in there with a drill, I don't know. Should have thought of that before really, Nige, but never mind, we'll manage. So let me make some control lines. What I'm going to do for the newer modelers amongst us, I've got some silver sprue here, and I'm just going to take a cigarette lighter and I'm just going to hold it over the sprue. In fact, what I'll do is I'll break that off. I can hold that over the sprue and twist the sprue, keep it twisting, never let it stop. Just stay there, stay in the same place until you see the sprue start to get floppy. Okay, don't let the flame touch you, you end up with a black mess. I can feel that getting pretty hot now. And you can see that see it starting to bend. That's the time to stop and just literally pull. And just when you get to the desired thickness, oh dear, that shouldn't happen. Great demo. Right, so let me try again. It might be the plastic. This is an old monogram plastic. So let's just try again. That just shows if you don't get it hot enough, that's what the problem was there. So let it get a lot hotter this time and completely bend over. Now I'm going to put it, yeah, you can see it pulls a lot easier. And then when you get to your desired thickness, just stop, let it set, and you should end up with a straightish line. Okay, just show you again. If I want to make a thicker line, you just don't pull it as far. There we go, that's starting to go. Just pull that. Oh, it's just, I think it's this plastic. It needs to be absolutely, totally and utterly melted before it will go. Normally with most modern kits these days they will, there we go, there's a thicker cable for us there. Yeah, normally they will go straight away. So yeah. Okay, so I'll go and make some more and then we'll go from there. Right, so there we go, that's it all done. And I know some people will be thinking what a waste of time, and I don't care. But all I know is it's in there now, and I think we can all agree it's pretty complete. And just for a few simple bits of lead, a couple of bits of solder, some weathering, a couple of bits of stainless, some stretch sprue, we've got the effect that certainly I'm looking for. And you can see those control lines in there now. You can see them, so when we look up underneath we'll see those in there. And all I've done is drilled some holes in this tail wheel bulkhead and pulled the cables through, as you can see. And it's nothing precise, it's just a, you know, where I think they came from. I'm sure the back of this bulkhead should have more on it. There's probably mechanisms that, you know, turn a control column movement through chain wheels or whatever into a cable being pulled. So I'm sure there's pulleys or whatever missing from there. These two here, you can see I've just basically gone up underneath between the fuel tank and the floor and glued them in. And then the others I've just basically gone in with a long pin, made a mark, drill, and then just put the sprue in there. I use super glue on the sprue rather than extra thin, because the extra thin will just melt the sprue because it's so thin. And you can also see there's a couple of faux pas here. I was pulling this one and it broke, so all I did was got another piece, put it through the hole, glued it to it, pull it and do that. And then this one, the glue went off really quickly and it didn't have enough tension in it, so all I did was just got the end and just twisted it to pull the cable a bit tighter just to get the tension. And you can see a lot of people will be thinking that's touching the oxygen valve. No, it's not. It's not touching it, it's away from it. Okay, so there we go, guys. So some people say I don't hold things still long enough, so there you go. And that's all I've done on the back, is just drill holes in it. Alright, so we'll call that a day for this one. This has been part 14. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. In fact, just before I go, what I'll do, I'll put the fuselage together and we'll see just how much we can see in there. Okay, now getting the light to see up in there is quite difficult with this camera, but or phone should I say. When we look up in there, we can see all the control lines, we can see the oxygen tank, the water tank, all the pipe work added. We can see the detail on the radios, if I get it in the light here. And again, you can see all those control lines passing underneath those lights. The camera's focusing on this skin rather than on the inside, so that's the problem there. But yeah, so I'm more than happy with the way that looks. And something I've just thought of, we've got these trim controls here on the side of the fuselage, and they've got those rods coming off the back of them. If you remember, I painted silver. I'm going to have to add some plastic rods because you're going to see them inside there as well. So I'm going to add them in, but I'm not going to do that now. I'm going to call this video a day here. This has been part 14. Hope you've enjoyed it. If you think it's a waste of time, by all means, if you want to tell me it's a waste of time, great, but I don't think anybody really cares. And I know that some people will probably copy along, because I know that many of you bought that fuel tank, so you're probably, a lot of you are probably intending to have this open up in the bottom of here. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon with another segment of this, probably moving on to the engine soon.